Marjorie Taylor Greene has done something truly historical. What she did in the Congress yesterday would go down in history books. This was nothing less than an act of remarkable valor. She dared to question the unlimited military support to Israel during a debate on the Defense Appropriations Act. She got up and spoke passionately to defend her amendment seeking an end to the US support for Israeli air defense systems, including Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow 3. She reminded the House how Israel was a nuclear power and didn't deserve any more charity from the US at the cost of its taxpayers' money. You have to watch this powerful intervention. I bet you wouldn't watch this clip on the so called mainstream media because it doesn't suit their propaganda.
Mr. Speaker, as the House considers the defense appropriation bill today that costs the American people $831 billion, it's important to talk about that this is the funding for our great men and women serving in our military and our nation's defense. The Department of Defense's mission statement is to deter war and ensure our nation's security, and that is worthy of the American people's hard-earned tax dollars. However, the American people are $37 trillion in debt. So this is money that is being spent that they already don't have. My amendment would strike $500 million in funding for nuclear-armed Israel's missile defense system. And it's important to phrase it that way. Israel is a nuclear-armed nation, which is very capable of defending themselves, and they have been proving that so as we've watched on the world stage. The U.S. already provides Israel with $3.8 billion annually in foreign aid. $3.8 billion, that's a lot of money. Additionally, the April 2024 security supplemental included $8.7 billion for Israel. That is nuclear-armed Israel. And during the recent 12-day war, the U.S. used 15 to 20% of our terminal high-altitude area defense missiles stockpiles defending nuclear-armed Israel, which cost us over $800 million. The $500 million provided in this bill will fund Israel's, that is nuclear-armed Israel's, missile defense system, the Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow system. Yet Israel is a nuclear-armed nation. That's a pretty big deterrent for any of their enemies. Any nation that has a nuclear bomb has the greatest threat against their enemies. U.S. aid typically accounts for 15 to 20% of Israel's defense budget, even though Israel, nuclear-armed Israel, has universal health care for their citizens and subsidized college for their citizens. They're able to provide that. However, here in America, we're $37 trillion in debt. My amendment to strike $500 million in foreign aid will ensure an America First Department of Defense, and that is exactly what we need and we haven't had for a very long time. Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
Even when Israel launched its illegal attacks on Iran recently, Marjorie Taylor Greene had publicly spoken against the settler colony. She had opposed the US intervention in yet another Israel's war. She had later appeared on the Tucker Carlson show to repeat her stand.
Since I've become a member of Congress since 2021, we have voted on 22 resolutions for Israel, 22 of them. All kinds of resolutions, denouncing anti-Semitism, supporting Israel. We voted on 22 of those. We never vote on resolutions proclaiming great things about America or defending certain Americans or defending Americans in general. But we have voted on 22 resolutions in the House defending Israel.
Talking about Tucker Carlson, he too has exposed the illegal influence of the Israeli lobby on the US politics on more than one occasion. Do you remember this interview? Where his guest made a shocking revelation how all members of the Congress and Senate had their birdies provided to them by the APAC, and they had to follow the diktat of the Israeli lobby on every policy which remotely affected Israel in an adverse manner.
They're not registered.
Is there any other Republican who has your views on this?
Well, I have Republicans who come to me on the floor and say, I wish I could vote with you today. Yours is the right vote, but I would just take too much flack back home. And I have Republicans who come to me and say, that's wrong what AIPAC is doing to you. Let me talk to my AIPAC person. By the way, everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What does that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are, firmly embedded in AIPAC. And
every member has something like this?
I don't know how it works on the Democrat side, but that's how it works on the Republican side.
Tucker also spoke about the Israeli influence on US politics only recently.
And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of Intel Services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that.
Why is Marjorie Taylor Greene's speech so important? Well, first, this woman is a Republican and has been a supporter of Donald Trump. A conservative US Congresswoman openly advocating to cut military aid to a rogue state is truly astounding. Just how powerful this AIPAC is can be seen from this data. There are over 600 members in the US Congress and Senate. Of them, more than 350, more than 50% candidates were funded by the AIPAC. Don't take my word for it. The AIPAC website proudly claims that it supported 361 pro-Israel Democratic and Republican candidates in 2024 elections with more than $53 million. $53 million in direct support through AIPAC. And this doesn't include millions of funding through illegal means. The AIPAC is openly flaunting its anti-American agenda with impunity. It says on its website, we stand with those who stand with Israel, not with America. In other words, this most powerful illegal entity is openly announcing that it doesn't support those who stand with America, but only those who support a foreign country. If you are a patriotic American and dedicated to work for the people of the US, you would not be welcomed by AIPAC. The one and only prerequisite for you to receive millions of funding from the AIPAC is for you to replace your loyalty for the US with that of Israel. It's as simple as that. If you are a patriotic American and you truly care about your country and its people, the Israeli lobby would throw all its might to defame you by using its clout in the media. And if this fails, it would use its severely compromised members of the Congress and Senate to declare you anti-national. And if you happen to be a non-white person, you may even be stripped of your nationality and deported. People like Zohran Mamdani are fast realizing this harsh reality as one pro-Israeli lawmaker audaciously wrote to Pam Bondi asking her to cancel Mamdani's citizenship. Why? Because he didn't proclaim his loyalty to Israel, just like other compromised politicians did during a televised debate recently.
The first foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Left to right, Ms. Adams.
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
Mr. Cuomo?
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my fourth trip to Israel, followed by my fifth trip to Ukraine, two of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani?
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel?
As mayor? I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
He won't,
he won't say it has a right
to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear
his answer was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he was trying to say.
No. Unlike you, I answer questions very directly.
My goal would be to take my first trip to Israel. My wife's life work in this area.
And yet, Americans are not revolting. They are not feeling insulted. What kind of a first world country, a supposed superpower, is controlled by an illegal foreign entity which is more powerful than even the US Supreme Court or the president of the country? That's precisely why people like Marjorie Taylor Greene's powerful voice against this illegal interference in the US politics by Israel is significant. This MAGA Republican Congresswoman didn't use the term parasite, but social media platforms are replete with criticism which liken Israel and its ability to suck the US resources to fulfill its genocidal ambitions in the Middle East to that of a parasite. It usually requires one powerful voice, such as Marjorie Taylor Greene, to give confidence to others to speak in a similar tone. She could either be crushed by the powerful Israeli lobby, or this could herald a change in the US political system that will finally pave the way for the elimination of the rogue Israeli lobby from US politics. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you do think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. Details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.